In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast, James Barlowe and I, we are going to discuss the G League Ignite. If you haven't heard the news, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, has decided to cut the program. James thinks that the decision was a little premature and it could have been fixed. So stay tuned to hear our thoughts on the G League Ignite. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, the director of scouting for NBA Big Board. And to my left, but to my right on the TV screen is my sidekick, my right-hand man, my brother, James Barlowe. But before we get into this episode, I want to let you know that it is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNBA, but go to prizepicks.com. The promo code LOCKEDONNBA has to be in lowercase letters, and you can get a first deposit match up to $100. If you are not subscribed to the channel, like, share, comment, click the bell so you can be notified every time we post, because we are your source for NBA draft content 5 days a week. If it's not 5 days a week, it's going to be at least 19 to 20 episodes a month. So we are definitely putting in the work and the time. And we are recording live in Dubai. James and I are here scouting the Adidas Next Generation tournament. It's been a good experience just because Dubai is incredible. I mean, this place feels like
not even real.
Like Fantasy Island. It just doesn't feel like a real place. But it's been a good experience. The competition has been okay, but the NBA, I've seen that report, but also the EuroLeague. I mean, everybody wants this money in Dubai, so they're trying to figure out ways to get this Dubai or this Arab money into the ecosystem of the NBA and the EuroLeague. So the EuroLeague had a next generation tournament here, and it's definitely been different. But anyway, we are going to talk about the Ignite. If you haven't heard the news, like I mentioned, I think it came out, I don't know, our days are all mixed up. It is Sunday when we're recording this. I want to say it came out maybe Thursday in the States, but Adam Silver decided to cut the program. I knew it was coming. I actually heard it on Sunday before that they were going to cut the program. And the person that is impacted the most is Dink Pate. I mean, Cherry Darlan is also impacted. He had a 2-year deal. But Dink Pate, who I think is a top 10 pick in next year's draft, signed a 2-year contract. And we'll talk about that later on. But I want to ask you, James, when you first heard the news or even the rumors that they were getting rid of the Ignite program, what were your thoughts?
I understand that they started the program to compete with the NIL, give guys another option coming out of high school to, entertain the college or, the G League and compete with the Next Stars. What's the Stars?
Next Stars program in Australia.
Next Stars program in Australia. I think it could have been salvageable. I think that the concept, the idea was good. I think the results are still good, the guys that have gone through the program. I think that the idea of putting 5, 6, 18, 19-year-olds on the same team,
I thought that was a crazy mistake.
That's why we are here today. I don't think it has much to do with the talent of the guys in the program. I just think that you put, it's no different than what you're seeing in the NCAA tournament. Like the young guys competing against veterans is hard to do, and you take it up another notch. We're talking about pros. And we're asking 18, 19-year-olds to beat them. It's just too tough. I think that they could have spread the guys out amongst different programs, different G League teams, affiliate teams, and it worked better maybe to mimic what the Next Stars program is doing in Australia. But ultimately, Silver decided that the money that we're getting, and maybe also that we're not getting any guys because the NIL money is too good, they decided to shut the program down.
I think it more so had to do with finances. That is my opinion. I think it had more to do with finances than anything. If you look at, the rumors are some of the guys were getting $1 million.
Okay.
So if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. the G League salary for the average G League player that's not on a two-way is $40,000. So it's not. I mean, it's $40,000 for the year, but if you really think about it, it's $40,000 for the basketball season, which the G League season usually starts around November and is done in April. So what is that? 6 months. So 40,000 6 months. So it's not like. I mean, it's not great money, but that's the salary. So you have guys making $1 million. So you may have one player on the Ignite making more than the salaries of 10 guys. Well, it is. Double. You have one Ignite player making double the salary of the guys on an entire G League roster. This year, they are 2-30. So you factor, they had 8 guys. And let's just say their 8 guys are making an average of $400,000. So you have that factored in with the fact that they're 2-30. I just think it all boiled down to finances. They're playing in a very, very nice arena in Las Vegas. They're probably getting maybe 200 people a game. So I just think financially it did not make any more sense for the NBA to have your highest paid roster by far being your worst team. And then just from knowing, like, working in the G League, I have a rough estimate of how much it costs to turn the lights on for an arena like that. So it could be $50,000 to $75,000 a game just to have the lights on, pay the concession workers, pay everybody. You're not making that per game. So I just think they were losing so much money. I think that is the big reason why they cut the program, not necessarily because of the individual results of some of the players. So to me, it makes sense.
But at the same time, that bottom line has probably been read for years now. So, like, why cut it now is what I'm saying.
Because you're losing. But how many years you want to lose it?
I mean, the NBA prints money. I mean,
but nobody wants
to continually lose money. But, like, I just feel like you understand going into it, the G League arenas aren't packed. Right, you understand going into it. You
Depends,
gotta pay
though.
these
like
kids.
The Texas Legends, they do well. We've been to Legends games. Right, they do well. They have a great.
The Fort Wayne Mad Ants do it. I don't know.
A lot of teams. So when I started in the G League, and I was with the Legends the first 3 years, and their business concept was amazing. They were like probably the only team that was actually making money. The G League wasn't supposed to be profitable, but it was supposed to be on the team. So for a team, if you have, if it costs, I'm just throwing out some numbers. If it costs $1.5 million or $2 million a year to run an entire G League team for the season, that you're developing 4 or 5 coaches, 10 players, training staff, at least in my opinion, I thought the initial thought behind the G League was you can develop a staff of people as opposed to spending that last roster spot on a guy making $2 million who's not going to play. That's what some teams were. So some teams weren't trying to be profitable. The Legends aim to be profitable. I mean,
but also look at where the Legends are located. Like,
but I mean, that's
go ahead and cook.
That's
but like
strategic.
That's strategic. But again, we talk about Fort Wayne. We talk about Sioux Falls.
But that's the only game in town in those cities, and that's why some of those cities are successful because that's the only thing going on in town. The Legends are close to Dallas, but in a suburb where there's kids and families, and so we used to give free tickets out to schools, and then you get the kids free tickets, and then the parents are paying. So that's likely 2 parents paying for parking, 1 car. Concessions and so on. So they were able to generate money. The Ignite, I don't know if they tried that, but the games weren't. Nobody was there. I mean, when they played Victor, I don't even know if it was 1,000 people in the crowd. So I think that putting it in Vegas made it somewhat appealing as opposed to like putting it somewhere that wasn't like a major city. But I just think it all boils down to finances. They weren't making money. So a lot of people are trying to say is because some of the players that were in the program weren't successful. They haven't lived up to the hype. I will say that I don't think that basketball-wise, the Ignite players had a significant advantage over the guys that went to college. And of course, there's guys that went to college that weren't successful, and just like there's guys that went to the G League.
That's my biggest issue with the talk of the Ignite being shut down. I don't know the financial. That's above my pay grade, right? I get that, but to sit here and say, well, this guy here, like, it doesn't make sense to go to the Ignite program because you're not getting better when you just look at the record of the team versus the results of the guys that are playing in the NBA. To me, that's not fair or warranted, because and we'll get into it in another segment, but I can break down this guy went this path. Why do you feel like he got better because he went to college versus the guys that went to the Ignite program?
Yeah, but I also think, like, between the finances and the fact that they were 2-30 right now, so you got the highest paid team significantly, has the worst record, and some of their losses, I mean, they've lost by 40 points and so on. So I just think there were some mistakes made. All right, when we return, we're going to get James's thoughts on why he thinks that the program could have been salvageable and what decisions that he would have made to try to fix the Ignite instead of axing the program. But let's talk about Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, that you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from another retirement account with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th, so get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now here is some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024 is validated by the Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. The 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of the first 3% match. You must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions, and the Robinhood IRA is available to U.S. customers in good standing. And Robinhood Financial LLC is a member of the SIPC, a registered broker-dealer. All right, let's talk about eBay Motors. eBay Motors knows what it takes to put together a winning team, which is passion, drive, and patience. And that is what brings home the winning trophy. And it is also what keeps your ride or die, which is your car, alive. And eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. They have superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. So whether you are into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. And they have over 122 million parts to choose from, which will keep your car looking good. And with eBay, they have what they call the guaranteed fit, which means the part is guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, or you will get your money back. And that's because with eBay, you are burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts that you need and the prices that you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. And the eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available for customers in the U.S. of A. As you know, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel, which is called Locked On Sports Today. And if you are a baseball fan, mark your calendars for March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern for the best Major League Baseball season preview, which is coming exclusively to Locked On Sports Today. Again, March 20th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Be there to get the local insight from the local Locked On experts. I don't want to call them analysts. I want to call them experts. The local Locked On experts of the Locked On Podcast Network. You can find it again March 20th, 7 p.m. Eastern on Locked On Sports Today, the 24 hours a day, 7 days a week streaming channel on YouTube for free and Amazon Fire TV channels app. All right, when we left off, we talked a little bit about the Ignite. I teased James's thought process behind how he would fix it, and you kind of hinted at it, saying they had too many players. I agree. I thought they bit off more than they could chew with 8 young guys. I just thought that was a huge mistake, simply because you have, I guess it happens in college too, where you know, with schools that have a loaded recruiting class. But you had 8 guys. I don't think that they necessarily complemented each other as far as skill set. I mean, they were just getting smacked. Like the last game they played on Saturday night. You know, we're here over in Dubai, so the times are weird.
What day it is.
It was like 128 to 87. Like there were guys that had like negative 40 plus minus. So if you were Sharif Abdul-Rahim, who's basically in charge of the Ignite program, what changes would you have made?
All right.
If they were going to keep it, if they weren't going to axe it, but what changes would you have made for next year, which is the 24-25 season?
All right, so let's say hypothetically I have 6 guys in the program, right?
Yep.
I'm going to take those 6 guys and put them in 6 different organizations.
So that means you're cutting the Ignite. I'm saying if they kept the Ignite.
No, I'm telling you, I'm cutting the Ignite team, but I'm keeping the program, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And we're gonna mimic the Australian Next Stars program, because we don't, you know, we're gonna sit here and say, look, Dink, we're gonna put you in a situation where you're still gonna probably get 24 minutes per game, probably at the minimum, right? And you're gonna play on a team but you're the only young guy on that team. Mm-hmm. So you'll have veterans. And so if the biggest knock on the Ignite program is they just aren't good and they're not winning, well, you put them in a better situation to win, because it's one 18-year-old versus 6, 7, 18-year-olds. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we're going to sit here and say, you're still draft eligible at the end of your contract. Yep. Right? But we'll say, Dink, we'll put you with the Legends. Right, you're still a focal point of development, because again, this is a developmental league, and we're going to start developing a guy that's 18. He's going to get those reps. We're going to treat him how we looked at LaMelo, how we looked at R.J. Hampton, how we're looking at Alex Sarr, right? And say in these minutes, this guy does this, and then we'll say we don't judge him by his record. What is Alex Sarr's team's record right now? They went to the playoffs, obviously, right? Yep. But we don't know, right? That's just not a topic of discussion. So we take those guys and we put them in different situations. It's no different than what Malik Lewis is going through here, playing for El Capitans. Now, again, I understand he's a foreign prospect, so it's different with that situation. But we look at Malik Lewis and the minutes that he's getting, and that's how we evaluate him. And I feel like they could have done that, and the program still worked.
All right, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. So I get what you're saying, and I think in theory it makes sense. But every team is ran different. They don't have the rights. So let's say I'm the Texas Legends, right? And this is hypothetical. I'm the Texas Legends, and you give me Dink Pate next year. But I have Mike Miles on a 2-way, and I have Brandon Williams on a 2-way. That means they're being paid by the Dallas Mavericks.
Right. For
the Dallas Mavericks, it makes sense for them to prioritize the guys that they have on a 2-way over Dink, because they are paying them. They have no control over whether they will get Dink Pate in the draft. And if the G League is not all about winning, I mean,
so is the G League not about winning for the Ignite, or not winning for the entire?
No, because
program? It's what are we keeping records for?
I mean, obviously you got to keep records, but there are some teams that want to win. But I think one of the difficult parts about the G League, and my experience from being around it, is I've seen guys that were like really gifted scorers in the G League, big time scorers, but they didn't get called up because the way that they were playing would not be the role that they would be playing in the NBA.
Correct.
So I've seen teams that wanted to win, and they'll give a guy that was a big time scorer, let him run the show. They'd win games, get to the playoffs. Because remember, sometimes a G League coach wants to win.
Yeah, because you want to prove that you can coach at the next level.
Right, you want to prove you can coach at the next level. And a lot of times you may be graded on your wins, the success. Because I remember Nick Nurse was a very successful coach in the G League, and look where he's at now. And I've seen guys that I thought were good developmental coaches in the G League that got guys that were, came out of nowhere, played a big role in their development. They went on to have, decent NBA careers. They don't get the same respect as a guy that actually won. So even though the G League is supposed to be about development, coaches want to win. Some front offices want to win. So anyway, if you're the Texas Legends and you say you want to win, if you're the coach and you want to win, and you have two guys that are on your two-way deals that have had 2 to 3 years of college experience, and they're actually not better long-term prospects, but better short-term prospects to help you as a coach win, are you going to prioritize Dink Pate, who the Mavericks would not have? I mean, let's say they don't have a first-round pick, they don't even get a chance to get him. So why would you develop a guy that you don't have an opportunity to even sign? That's where I think there could be a conflict of interest.
I get what you're saying, but ultimately, if I'm the head coach of the Texas Legends, my job...
And this is hypothetical.
My job is to put the best players on the floor. And
that's what I'm saying. If they're not the best players, if your two-way guys who have 2 to 3 years of college experience are better right now prospects than your long-term prospect, if you want to win, you're going to prioritize the guys.
Okay, so again, we've seen Dink live and in act. Again, we're just using Dink as an example, right? But we've seen Dink hold his own, right? You can't tell me that there are not 24 minutes in a 48-minute up-and-down game in the G League for an 18-year-old prospect who's going to be in the NBA next year. There's ways to make it work, is what I'm saying.
But I'm saying the team may not even prioritize them because they're we got to develop our guys that are on two ways. So if our guys on a two-way and we're paying them $500,000, I want them to play.
How many guys are on a two-way in the G League?
You can have up to 3 per team.
3 guys. All of those guys aren't going to play in the NBA at the same time. What I'm saying is, we're only talking about a handful of kids, right? So the team that those guys that are on the two-way will still be able to play alongside the Ignite player and development won't be stalled, is what I'm saying. The last Legends game we went to, Jelly Fam is not on a two-way, right? No, he's not.
Nope.
But at the same time, he still got his, is what I'm saying. Even the second game, he definitely got his because guys got caught up.
Brandon Williams.
But the first game, he still was active. And that's where the game we were like, he's really attacking Almanza on these switches, and Almanza was staying in front of him. What I'm saying is, in that role, that guy who is, and I'm not disrespecting Jelly Fam or anybody, that guy who's not an NBA player, right, who's trying to build his resume for his career overseas, we can give those minutes to one high school guy, and it still work, and it won't. Jelly Fam getting his 20 did not stop Brandon Williams from having a triple-double that night. It did not stop Omax from looking like a player. And at the same time, they still had Theo Pinson, who's too good for the G
But what
League.
I'm saying is those guys could be better players right now than the G League Ignite prospect, right? So if those guys are better players, then that guy that you like, Alex Sarr, for example, similar situation but different. Alex Sarr didn't start. He didn't start the team in Australia didn't look at Alex Sarr like, we're here to really develop him. We want him to be a piece to help us win.
I'm asking the G League to do the same thing.
Right, but so that means some of the guys aren't.
I said 24 minutes.
Right, but I mean that's still half the game. I don't think Alex Sarr played 24 minutes.
He played 19.
He played
in a 40-minute game. So I want to say the per minutes probably should equal up almost about the same, right? I'm just saying,
Alex Sarr played 18
minutes in a 40-minute period.
18 minutes.
18 minutes a game
but
in
again,
a 40-minute game league. We have 8 additional minutes, so we can find 22 to 24 minutes. And you got to understand, guys are going to go up and down on those two ways. So those games, how many games you get on a two-way? In NBA?
Games?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's say it's 20 games on a two-way, whatever. Those 20 games that they're caught up, that's when we say, hey, Dink, you got 34 tonight. You got 34 minutes. I'm saying there's just a way to get it Everybody, there's enough minutes, enough possessions, enough opportunities in a G League game, and it's not going to take away from your guys who are developing.
When we return, we're going to let James finish his point, and then I'm going to add a couple things that I want to say that I think could that the reason why I don't know if that would totally work. But let's talk about Prize Picks. And Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. And it is the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It is just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than 2 to 6 players and their stat projections. That's all you got to do. And you can watch the winnings roll in. And it is demon time on Prize Picks, which means you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into 1,000. And then there's Demons and Goblins, which is the newest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports at Prize Picks. Squares marked with red demons or green goblins can get you different payouts. And you can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. I know you play Prize Picks all the time. You ever got close to getting 100 times your bread?
Man, yeah, a couple times. But a couple times I just overthought it and didn't make the right. I don't really want to talk about that right now.
All right. Unfortunately, because 100 times your money, I can see why people are so addicted to it. So if you want to try it and get up to 100 times your money, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. It has to be in lowercase. Use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Once again, prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, so pick up where you left off.
All I'm saying is this. The kid that is in the G League Ignite program, not the team, is good enough, absolutely good enough to play for a G League team and earn minutes and be productive without taking away from your two-way players or guys you're trying to develop. Everybody on the G League roster is not an NBA player. Some guys are there to fill roster spots, right? I'm just saying, if you put Jalen Green on the Fort Wayne Mad Ants, he's good enough to start for you, right? And not affect your guys on the two-way. Now, again, you may say, what's my incentive to develop them is everybody in the G League is auditioning for the NBA. Coaches, referees, trainers, everybody.
Yep.
Right? My job as a coach is to win games. And again, I have identified this kid is good enough to be very good in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm going to put him in that situation, and we're going to play to win games. And everybody has to sacrifice at some point, right? And like you just said, the role that some of these guys have in the G League is not the role that they have in the NBA. So, again, we're using guys in the hypothetical sense. Mike Miles, Omax, Theo Pinson, y'all got to play with a point guard. Because ultimately, those guys aren't going to have the same usage in the NBA. So let's see let's mix in these lineups. Let me see what you look like next to a 6'8" point guard that can handle, right? Let's see how that works. Because again, we saw Theo Pinson had dumb usage in those games, right? He looked like Luka, but that's not what he's going to be at the NBA. So Theo, you're not playing point guard today, right? You're playing off the ball some, and we'll mix it up. I just feel like it could work, man. It's not.
I mean, I think it could work, but all right, let me present this to you. Again, hypothetical. Let's say you're let's say Cooper Flag goes to the Ignite.
All right.
Next year in the program, hypothetical. Washington Wizards, or the Go-Go City Capital or Capital City Go-Go. They win the first round. You know, they have Cooper Flag's rights. They don't have any control, as the parent club doesn't have any control or not whether Cooper will be with them. They could be like, man, we really want Cooper Flag.
Hey, man, look, okay.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
We really want Cooper Flag. But what if we hide him, and let's say our team is not good enough, our team is not bad enough to where we're going to get the #1 pick in the NBA draft, but we're going to probably end up in the lottery. What's stopping the team from saying, well, what if we kind of limit Cooper a little bit, So his stock falls, so he could possibly be in our range, or maybe even say bad intel. Hey, he got this problem. I think that with a talent like that, I think when the team doesn't have the power to get the guy, I mean, I could see a situation where they limit him to make sure the parent club can get him. I can actually see a call coming from up top.
I mean, that could happen. Like, I'm not saying it couldn't. Hypothetically, and in my head it works. I don't have it all ironed out, but it would be great to sit here and say, okay, you really want Cooper Flagg. You feel like this is, you're going to tank for him. Not tank it, you know what I'm trying to say. It may cost you 2 first-round picks and X amount of money, like I don't know how to make it work, but there's a hypothetical way that it could make it work.
I've thought about that. All right, let's say Cooper Flagg or AJ DeBonsa enter the G League, right? And then you tell the team, if you select AJ, then you lose a first-round pick. I think teams would do that all day, every day.
I mean, but what's the difference between what the Spurs and what's the difference?
No, but I just think then all of a sudden it turns into like a situation where you might as well just let them go to the NBA if you're going to do that.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I get it. I just feel like let's start there and we'll say the honor system. Like, honestly, if we're watching Cooper Flagg and he's playing 14 minutes a game for the Go-Go City Capital, come on, man, what are we really doing? Like, and also, you say it's a business. We coming to see him play. We're not coming to see him play 14 minutes a game like that. But that's just not good business.
Yeah, but the team would rather have him play for the Wizards than sell out the Capital. But I just think, like, it can be a situation where a team – and, I mean, Cooper could be – I mean, you can't hold him back. But I think it could be a situation where there's a guy that a team could like, for example, Dyson Daniels, who wasn't, like, super highly touted and it wasn't a bunch of stuff that was supposed to be projected around him coming into that G League season. But let's say he was on a team like, let's just say the Birmingham Squadron, right? And they're like, wait a minute. Nobody's talking about Dyson Daniels as a lottery pick, but this kid is a lottery talent. So, but if we play him, he's going to skyrocket up the draft board and we won't have a chance to get him. So what we're going to do is limit him to a few minutes here and there to put us in position to get him. And I think for a team, because teams find ways all the time, just like players find loopholes in the system, whether it's the Kevin Durant rip through, whether it's Harden, like players find any little way. I mean, some of the best scorers in the league find these gaps in the rule book to create advantages. And teams have done that with players. I remember a few years back, they used to have that thing where they would like sign a guy.
The Thunder.
Or, no, remember, like, what was the thing that the Mavs did with, who was the player? Keith Van Horn. Like, you gave him, like, I'm just throwing the numbers out, $20 million non-guaranteed to put him in a trade to make the numbers work. And then, but anyway, I just think teams would find a loophole in that if there's a guy that they like. Like, you can't do it to a top guy, so that was a bad example. But if it's a, Marjon Beauchamp, or even like a guy like Tyler Smith, just think about that. Just think if Tyler Smith goes to the Westchester Knicks, right? And they're like, wait a minute, this kid can play. He didn't have the same buzz. We're going to limit his minutes so we can draft him in the first round.
Okay, so if that's the case, let's call him up, forfeit a pick. And that way we're not making it dirty. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just have the idea that it could work. I'm sure that it's going to take some weaving, but I just felt like it could have worked in a sense. But can I address the developmental issues? Do we have time for that? So some people will say, oh man, the G League, they don't develop guys, man, guys this, that, and the other. All right. And then I'm a fan. Cade Cunningham went to college, one and done, right? He got all the usage, took the Oklahoma State team to the tournament, right? Better player than Jalen Green. So let's not stop there. Let's not say that he's not better.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he's a better player than Jalen Green. But
I mean, I think that's even debatable, especially the way Jalen Green is playing right now.
And that's fair.
I think debatable.
Overall, he's a better player. But let's just talk. We're talking about just sheer development. Mm-hmm. You'll say Cade Cunningham has if you're a fan, 52% career shooting percentage. Jalen Green's is 54, right? Cade, I still feel like he's a better player. So don't sit here and say, I think development is development. It's not what situation, whatever path you take. There are guys who don't make it, they go to powerhouse programs. There's guys who come from Next Stars. There's guys that come from the G League Ignite, right? Jonathan Kuminga. You see when he cut his hair off, he became a veteran. He's very good. He's a starter. They needed that, right? On the contrary, again, somebody say, oh man, overseas, they're the best development program, whatever, NBA Academy. Josh Giddey is not playing good basketball.
But
right?
he's playing on the best team in the West.
His minutes are gone down.
But he's still playing on the best team in the West.
Right, but I'm just saying, are we the path to all-star, superstardom, whatever, isn't the word linear? There's not one way. That's just what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, there's not one way.
Again, yes, Jalen Green has struggled, right? But for every Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga, like there are guys who's just not going to make it. Who's to say that those guys, I'm saying this, who's to say that those guys were going to make it had they gone to Kentucky or had they come from Croatia is what I'm saying. So to sit here, people say the G League doesn't develop guys don't get better. Look at the guys that didn't make it. They might not have made it anyway is what I am saying. So again, we said Josh Giddey.
Hold on, I'm going to on Josh Giddey. I'm looking at the numbers. His minutes are down 7 minutes per game.
Right.
But the numbers, 11, 6, 4, they are solid numbers. And, I mean, you could say, like, as far as production per minute has been better. But his minutes got reduced as the team got, like, significantly better than the number one team.
And what I'm saying is he hasn't gotten better with the team.
But he's still playing he started all 68 games.
I'm not saying Josh Giddey's a bum. I'm just saying when Jalen Green is not good, right? And the G League Ignite goes 2-23, people say the Ignite program doesn't develop guys. When Josh Giddey isn't playing good and we guard him with how we say he with us, we're not guarding him, we're putting centers on him. It's, oh man, the team got better. He's still productive. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think part of it,
I think there's a stigma on the Ignite program that because Jalen Green has bad stretches, because he's supposed to be. But
I think that has more to do with the Rockets' structure around him early. But I do think, and we gotta end it here. I do think that there is an issue when you have a team where you openly say we're all about developing. And then the appeal to getting these guys to skip college and to go play for the Ignite is, one, the money, which I guess that kind of washes, but you're going to get the keys and you get to just hoop. And I do think that can lead to some really, really bad habits because at least in college, that coach is trying to win. There's a different pressure to winning than there is for the Ignite where you're just like, hey man, go out and hoop because, like I said, and I'll end it on this. Like I said, even with like regular teams, they have guys that put up big numbers.
Regular what?
Regular G League teams. You have guys that put up big numbers, and then they may struggle in the NBA when they get an opportunity because that is not the role that they are going to play. And in my opinion, I think Ron Holland is not going to be featured as a number one option on an NBA team. I don't think that is his role. And of course you can say that can happen in college, but I do think like the situation he was in cost him some money.
I 100% disagree.
All right, this episode can go on. Once again, thank you for making the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. And I want to let you know that we have launched the first ever 24 hours a day, 7 days a week streaming channel. It is available on YouTube and on the Amazon Fire TV in the free TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, covering the top stories of the day with the local experts of the Locked On shows, plus our national shows that cover every league. So find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Once again, it's Rafael Barlowe with my brother James. We kind of had a little debate here, went a little overtime, but this was fun. Once again, we are out of here.